Hello and welcome to Flippin and Mashing, a podcast about pinball machines, sump pumps, arcade games, whatever else is in our basement. This is your host, Parnell, and as always is...
Ryan, with a crackly voice.
But we all have to hit puberty at different times in our life.
I guess so. It's just, damn. I didn't want everybody to know that I was this late of a bloomer, but that's fine.
I'm on steroids to help work my way through it.
Okay. All right.
So what's happening now? What's happening this episode?
Oh, well, Parnell, we actually have a pretty awesome guest.
We're on a freaking roll here, man.
We are. We've had some really amazing people on the show, and we're going to continue that with having Steven Silver. Hi, say hi, Steven. Hey, Steven.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. I think on our last episode, you had messaged me on Facebook while we were recording, and I didn't know who you were. I then learned from, I think, Nick Baldridge, who you were, and it was really exciting to be chatting with you on Facebook.
That was a lot of fun. After the fact, listening to the playback of the show and hearing the exact moment whenever you got my message, because I was complimenting you guys on a previous episode. So
I was kind of blown away that someone of your famousness actually messaged me out of the blue. That was pretty sweet.
I wouldn't call me famous, but I appreciate it.
So it's great to have you on. We can kind of dig into your past, future, and present.
Okay, wait, hold on. There's a question you got to ask first, Parnell. Don't be skipping ahead.
Oh.
Yeah, come on.
What is it? Steven, are you drinking anything?
I am drinking some delicious H2O right now. It's late, and I'm putting the kids to bed a little bit, so that's
okay,
it.
So I got to ask you the question since Scott Denisi was so enamored when I said I was drinking water. So is it tap or filtered?
It is a bottle from Sam's Club, so I'm sure they filtered it at some point, but it probably came out of a tap at some point also.
Well, I know Scott was really intrigued when I asked, and he said he might actually start lurking on our podcast. So, Scott, now you know he's drinking some Sam's Club water.
Yep. only the finest down here in Richmond, Texas.
Perfect. What about you, Parnell? No, you go first.
So the first drink is a vodka strawberry juice. And the strawberry juice is from Trader Joe's. It's like a small 4-pack of Red Bull light cans. The next drink will be a Mango Cart mango beer.
Wow.
We'll see how I feel in the morning.
Yeah.
But it's Monday, so
shit-faced about an hour into the show here. I can't wait.
We will see.
Yep. So I am drinking a Chill Vibes sour ale with cucumber. And I like sour stuff, and this is definitely interesting. It's really cucumbery, but it's not bad. I'd probably buy it again. It's definitely doesn't make my gut feel rotten when I'm drinking it. So
it can't be that sour.
Right.
Okay.
But all right, Parnell. Well, now you can ask the next question. Go ahead, buddy. The one I interrupted you in the middle of.
Oh, I was just excited to have Steven on because we can kind of see how he got into pinball, what he's doing, and joke about the future that he has to work with Jerry.
Well, yeah, and talk about how much of a bastard Heist is sometimes.
Well, and Heist just had a huge update, huge update, so that'll be exciting. Steven, do you have like a game room? Do you have multiple pinballs at home, or do you just work on them? How does that?
Yeah, I got into the hobby about 10 years ago. Actually, and I always tell people this is that what's ironic is my buddy David Van Ness. He came and worked for us at our video production company here in Houston, and he had come over from Australia, and he was really itching to get back into pinball again, and he drove up to he was driving up to Arkansas to go buy a pinball machine for like $1,500. And I remember at that time saying, I love pinball, but man, $1,500 for a single game, that's insane. And then he started taking me around to pinball shows, and I'd regularly get my ass kicked by 6-year-olds at these shows. But I caught the bug, and I felt like I had to buy one. And I got my first one. It was the Day to Eve Star Wars about 10 years ago now. And so since then, I've had like a dozen machines or so, but I usually I've gotten it down to about 5 or 6 now. I mean, that number is way bigger when you consider the P3 and all the big game kits there. But I've got about 5 or 6 upstairs.
What's in the game room right now?
Still got that Day to Eve Star Wars. I don't think I'll ever let that go, just because it's got sentimental value to me. I've got a World Cup soccer still. I just sold my Whitewater. I've got a skate ball. I've got a 1970s Gottlieb play ball that I won at a raffle at a guy's place here in Houston. And then I've got my P3 with all the game kits and everything in it.
That's a heavy hitting game room, man.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the things like I've gotten it down to the game, the games I like and everything. But the thing I find these days is that I just want to spend all the time on the P3, honestly. So,
have you played much Cosmic Kart online?
Yeah, every chance we get with the anytime there's a Cosmic Kart racing online meetup or something like that, I always try to throw Cosmic Kart racing in there and jump online, because I keep saying this every chance I get, is that head-to-head racing over the internet on these machines is the most fun I've ever had playing pinball in my house. And I say this as a guy who's led a design team on a game, and I just love that head-to-head competition that Jerry enabled with his platform, to where you can actually be smack talking somebody over the Discord channel or whatever, and they get a power up and throw the roadblocks up on my ramps and screw me over, making my shots and stuff like that. I can do stuff in real time to affect their machine, and I just love it.
I heard that they're trying to integrate the audio into the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know where that feature set is. Jerry's talked about it. I just don't know where that is in the development process.
Yeah, I am just excited for that to happen, because, like you said, smack talking while you're playing is probably the best part of playing head to head.
Yeah, and it's a complex problem to solve. I mean, all of it. Like I'm not a programmer, so all this stuff is black magic to me. But anything networking is a really complex problem to solve. But then you've also got all the different states, like how do you enable voice chats in the lobby, and then into actual races and stuff like that. So I'm just in awe of Jerry and his team, the stuff that they're able to put out. And I learned about he had always talked about this feature, but things like that and like Twitch Connect, I would learn about it, and then this thing would be in reality being shown online within a couple of months. So like when they're able to focus on that aspect of development and stuff, they pull out some pretty amazing innovations pretty quick.
I also, from seeing Ryan's game in person, which I think they do a good job of, it's like they over-engineer it so that it's a lot more reliable and takes a lot of abuse. So I like that too. So I don't think he'll just turn on UDP packet sends. I think he's going to put some time and effort into that voice chat. So it should be pretty fun.
Yeah, you said a bunch of words that I totally understood, but but yeah, no, it's it's definitely something that is going to be a challenge to do. But in the meantime, until that happens, we've got this community-run Discord channel, and it's got a voice chat channel. So anybody out there who's got a P3, I recommend they jump on that Discord channel, and then when we jump on the races, jump in the voice chat, and we can communicate in real time as we're playing, and that really takes it to the next level.
Part of this, I don't know where to start. You kind of gave us a little bit of background on how you kind of got in, which is was interesting. A lot, like for me, I just stumbled into pinball, but how did you get involved with Multimorphic?
Yeah, so I've about, that 10 years ago mark, I started going to shows and doing stuff. And then I want to say it's my first or second TPF that I went to. Right before that, Jerry had a pinball news article that dropped that was displaying. I'd been following all the P-Rock projects that were happening. This is back when Bright Pinbot 2.0 was just starting and other people were doing cool projects. And I was always interested in that custom pinball aspect of stuff that Jerry really, created this whole industry when he made the P-Rock boards to allow people to build their own games and do things like that. They showed this machine that he and his buddies had made that had a ball tracking screen in the play field, and you had these walls and scoops that could pop up and these ramps and loops in the background and everything. And it was this white box. It didn't have a back box for the head or anything, but I was like, that's going to be at TPF. That's the machine I want to go see. Like, I don't care about anything else that's new that's happening. I want to go see that machine. And so I showed up at that show and I played the heck, and he just had some demo games. He had like the very first iteration of Barnyard and Rocks and stuff like that on the machine. But I started talking, and then Jerry went and gave his seminar. And in his seminar, he brought his P-Rock boards and he brought some equipment up there on stage. And he was basically like, we're going to build a working pinball machine in about 30 minutes with this equipment. And he just started assembling things and typing a few lines of code and putting things in. And he had a flipping pinball machine on that table in 30 minutes with some, whatever he typed in going across the DMD display he had up there. And I was just blown away by this guy. I was super impressed. And I flagged him down after the show and said, yeah, I work in video and animation and stuff like that, and I'd love to work with you at some point. And so not long after that, I started doing the promotional videos and things for Multimorphic, and been doing that ever since. And then somewhere along the line, we started, after Lexi had launched and CCR had launched, and I helped out with recording the voice call outs in Lexi and writing and the voice call outs and doing animations for the wizard mode and in Lexi, and did some stuff with some other games. But he was saying they were going to start this new game, and he was looking for who among the people who were working with P3 in various ways, if anybody wanted to come on as a creative director for this game. And I threw my hat in the ring and I said, I'd love to do it. I'm excited about it. I'd love to try. And he gave me the opportunity. And so we took off the races and made what I think is a pretty good game.
It's an amazing game. I mean, you can sandbag it, but it is an amazing game.
Well, my deal is like the thing about it is you can't really blame anybody out there because people just haven't had a chance to get their hands on it. And we just got hit by bad timing, right? Like our big coming out party was going to be TPF last year. We were ready to go. We had everything ready. It was going to make a big splash at that show. And then everything got canceled immediately. And so we didn't have any shows. And the Multimorphic P3 is something that you have to experience. Like you can see videos of it, you can watch streams of it, and everybody who does, they always like, that's cool and everything, but you really got to put your hands on it and play it and experience it. And Heist is that way too. Like you need to see the crane coming out and feel the interaction with bashing that crane the first time. And we just missed out on all that last year. So hopefully we're going to get it to shows this year. More people are going to be able to see it and experience it. And it'll be, we'll get it in more people's hands this year.
Heck yeah. I'm super excited because I have a very, very strong suspicion that everyone's going to share the same mentality that me and Parnell have, which is it is absolutely a home run. Absolutely.
That's the hope.
Yeah, I'll agree that people need to play it because there's all these rumors that are said, or at least maybe people's opinions, and people are just taking other people's as facts instead of trying it for themselves.
Yeah.
You really got to get your hands on it, see the technology, see the direction of the entire platform, and you're not buying one game. And I think that really helps show like the future promise of the platform.
And what I'll say is that at a lot of these shows, and we've been doing this for a while, like Jerry will come up and he will set up 10 P3s, right? Or something along those lines. There'll be a lot of them. And he'll have, each P3 playing a different game that you can buy and run on your P3. So those 10 machines taking up a 10 game row can live in the space of one machine in your game room, right? And what I would recommend to anybody who comes up to a P3 at a show, usually there's always long lines to play these games, and there's people playing them. And if you walk up to one and you play one, try to give a lot of those games a chance, right? Because you don't want to, you can walk up to a mini game like Rocks or like Barnyard or something and think this is all the platform is. And it's like, no, that's just one aspect of this game that was purpose built to appeal to everybody in your family. There are games for your kids. There's games that your wife might like. There's games that your brother who doesn't care about pinball might have a blast playing. And that's the beauty of this platform, is that there's something for everybody. So when you guys come out and you see it at a show, make sure you give as many of the games an opportunity as possible, and definitely try out some head-to-head CCR if you get a chance, and try out Heist if you get a chance. Those two are our two newest games that I think really sell the platform well.
Well, I know the Heist was the first P3 game I played, and it took me two games to kind of get an idea of what I needed to continue doing, and then I was pretty much hooked. Especially watching Ryan, like the first game, Ryan just made me play by myself, and then we started doing 2-player games, and then watching him, things started clicking on, collecting your crew and trying to get the different multi-balls and breaking people out of jail. Like, it's so fun to see. I forgot if it was Nick or someone we were talking to, where they got a bunch of people in jail, and then the fun was just to get everybody out of jail.
Yeah, like the whole concept of jail, like that was an idea I had early on that I really wanted to do. But there was a lot of talk in the team about whether or not essentially a negative gameplay concept would be well received and everything. And from my perspective, I was like, no, it adds another dimension to gameplay, right? Like you could, if you want to, just play to go for that 6-character jailbreak, which is actually really hard to set up in the regular game, because you have to qualify 2 characters so that you can start a heist, and then you've got to fail the heist and then put everybody else in jail. But there's also other strategies, like if the first jewel you go for in the game, there's this concept of going for jewels. So to play a heist, you have to complete 2 or more characters, right? And each combination of characters you get allows you to go into that heist for bigger rewards. So it's a risk reward situation. So you can go through and wait until you collect everybody and go for the hardest heist, or you can just collect 2 characters and go for an easier heist. But one interesting thing about the jail concept is that, let's say you waited till you got a 5-person heist to go and run that heist, but you wanted to go after all the jewels at that point. Then you've got to start intentionally jailing characters in order to unlock those previous heists, the 4-character heist, the 3-character heist, and things like that. So I just love rule ideas like that are different, that you couldn't do on another platform, that doesn't give you this big screen where you can explain these and have these context changing instructions on the screen and tell you, what you need to do and create this really immersive environment where that does so much more work than a couple of blinking color changing LEDs on the playfield.
Ryan, do you know what? Have you ever got a jewel?
I've worked on getting a jewel.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
This goes back to my comment that Steven ended up hearing in, I think, our last podcast, where I called him out a little bit, and I was like, "Damn you, Steven!" Because it's a lot of fun, but when you really need to make some shots, Heist can absolutely knock you down a peg if you think you're doing pretty good. It doesn't take much.
Yeah, like what we were watching Kevin Manning and Buffalo Pinball start running the wizard mode, the big final heist, and he was stuck at the point where you have to make a side loop shot and go along. He just kept biffing that side loop shot over and over and over again, and we're just sitting there just cracking up because it's just like, it's like the one thing you need and you can't do it. But you know what they say? The hardest shot in pinball is the one that you got to make. So,
That is absolutely true. Although for Parnell, I think it's any shot.
Every shot.
If we're being honest.
I actually rewatched. So I've been rewatching his stream to try to, I went back to find the 15 ball multi-ball, and then that loop shot you were talking about. I remember seeing him, and he lined that thing up. Oh, it felt like 20 times, and he missed every time. And then I think he hit it the second after it ended.
Yeah, and I'll say, I've been playtesting this thing forever, and I'm a mediocre pinball player too, right? So I have felt your pain, right? I have been in that situation where I just am going at that shot over and over again, trying to get to the end. But I come back to the genius of this platform. There's so much innovation in this platform that it allows things like save states. You can set up to where you're right at the big final heist, do a save state, and then if you fail it, you can come back in and jump right back in where you were with the new 3-ball game, or you could do it on ball 3 and replay that ball 3 essentially every time. And you can do these things to make even mediocre players or even poor players see the entire game. So, and practice things. You can set up save states for different things you want to practice. And let's say the jailbreak multi-ball is really difficult for you. You can set up various combinations of characters in jail and just practice jailbreak multi-ball by loading up that save state every time. So I don't know, and I'll say this also, anything you love in Heist, that's you can credit me, and everything you hate, you can blame Jerry. So you're kidding. No, Jerry, everybody on the team has come up with really, really good ideas to craft what was a really loose idea in the beginning, and then came to what we feel is a really tight game that's wide and deep, and it's just got a lot of variety of gameplay in it, a lot of variety of options.
The more I keep learning about the game, the more I realize that there's so much to the game. Breaking people out can be its own game, and then the new update that just dropped with the big final heist, I don't know if Ryan kept saying, but it sounds like it's like a second game, or at least it doubles the gameplay. Yeah,
so what we did on the big final heist, so the big final heist was the way, and this may start at this point, the way we started at the game was we decided on the theme, right, from the very get-go. And TJ Weaver, our mechanical engineer, who's absolutely brilliant. He's the guy who came up with the design of the crane and all these awesome mechanisms inside those buildings that divert the balls all different ways and are doing a lot of heavy lifting. He's the one that said, you know what, we should make a heist game. And we were just like, oh, that's perfect. And so when you think about the heist tropes and things like that, heists are always built around the third act. You assemble your crew, you have little side missions and stuff, but you get to that third act where everybody's got their job. Everybody's got to pull off their job to get to the big ending. And then there's usually some twist, or that you thought it was this way and it's not that way. So I always had that in mind, and it was a thing that I always knew we wanted to build and put into this game. But then you go back and we're like, we've got to build the rest of this game out. And I think the rest of his game stands pretty well on its own as a pretty full-fledged game with all the variety of things you have to do. Each player mode, each character mode is way different. Gameplay, we can do things on the P3 that you can't do on another machine, like dangle the cat burglar over the laser floor so she's picking up parts as you're shooting shots and stuff like that, and then knocking the ball off the crane. And so to break her out, and we do a couple of subtractive multi-balls where we give you all the balls up front, and as you hit shots, we designed the playfield so that every shot on a playfield could grab the ball and remove it from the playfield. So you start off with all your characters, and then you play, and once you've broken everybody out, you're back down to one ball in jailbreak multi-ball. And so, I mean, again, I love ideas like that you don't see in other pinball machines because we can do things on the P3 that other people can't. So
if you get one of your crew or multiple people of your crew in prison or in jail, it's like you said earlier, it's not the worst negative thing. Your game's not wrecked. You can go back, get them out, and then go back to doing your heists.
Yeah, definitely. And if you so when you go into the big final heist, if you play you play up to a certain point, and then that character fails, right? That character gets arrested. So you come back out, and that character's in jail. So you got to bust that character out of jail to continue on. But once you bust that character out of jail, then the big final heist is back available. You can go back in and you pick up where that character left off. They're rehired. You go back in and finish their stuff. So we had this idea. It's a very long wizard mode, right? It's 6 stages. So we wanted to give people an opportunity. And when we released this, we also made the base game a little bit easier so that qualifying characters took one less shot, and it's some of the other stuff is easier so that more people have a better chance of getting to and beating that final heist in a single game. But if you want to, you can always go back and change the settings back to the original settings if you like those.
Well, yeah, and I guess I have a question. I'm going to jump in here, and that crane. So can we just talk a minute about that crane for a minute? Because
I love talking about the crane.
I can't get enough of it. So, like, obviously you mentioned it was your mechanical engineer that had designed it or thought up of the idea initially. But like, can you kind of walk us through like what maybe some of the early stages were? Like, did you guys always think that it was going to be a 3-axis? So, up, down, left, right, and being able to extend like from the get-go? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess that's one of the questions I have is, do you have any good memories of kind of like the build up to what ultimately ended up becoming the final crane? Because it's really interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, I started off this game with a bunch of goals, and one of them right out front was I was like, we have to on this game bring more physical play, pinball action further down the field, right? Like there is physical pinball interaction on that lower play field, right? But we can't leave everything up there at the top like we do. Like we need to bring more stuff down into the play field, and we had 2 solutions for that. The first one was putting an upper flipper in the game. That was kind of something that from the very get-go, I said we should shoot for that. But the other thing that I was really big on was having some sort of a way to bring some sort of a mechanism out to where we can dangle a ball over the playfield and move it around over the playfield to where you can knock the ball off. Because I kept thinking, what if we can do missed multi-ball on the P3, but do it from above? And I am a mechanical engineering dum-dum. I don't know anything about it, but I was coming up with ideas like, what if we could do like a 3D printer gantry or something like that would come out and like a head that would move around on these different axes and stuff. But we basically came down to giving TJ the goal of figuring out how to get some sort of an object that can suspend a ball over the playfield in 3 different axes. And so TJ went back to work and he came back with a couple of different, the first design of the crane had more pieces to it, more individual pieces, but he kept working on it and refining it and everything. And originally we had like a screw drive in it, and the screw drive was slow, and we were like, no, this thing needs to be fast if people are gonna mess with it. And DJ switched out for like a belt drive, and that thing just flew, and it has exceeded all expectations that I had. This thing is way cooler and way better than anything I expected us to be able to do. So I really give TJ credit every time the crane comes up. We won the Pinball Industry Awards for Best Toy, and I think it was well deserved. And I told Jerry, it's like that crystal needs to go on TJ's desk. I'm really excited for that crane to get the recognition I think it deserves.
Well, and it's so quiet, and it is, like you said, it's fast. I mean, I'm using cranes like Batman 66, and of course Last Action Hero, which is I think one of the loudest, slowest cranes in existence. And I think that's a worm drive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I was shocked.
Yeah, we had some loud prototypes and stuff like that and everything. But like I said, it's just I really think some of the best engineering in the industry is at multimorphic, and these guys just come up with keep working the problem until you find just a really smart solution. And that's what comes out, you know, with these guys. And if you go and you look at how a P3 is built, you're just going to see just brilliant solutions all through that system for doing stuff. It's a heavy playfield to pull out, but they've designed the inside grooves of the cabinet to let gravity assist you in pulling it out, so where you can get in service position 1 fairly easily. And things like that, little touches like that you don't notice unless you go looking for them. And that's just is what the company's all about.
The crane's pretty impressive though, because it goes in and out, up and down, side to side, but then it can pick up a ball via magnet, either with or without the ball. It goes to the playfield, and it can be a bash toy or let the ball get hit off.
Yep.
It's almost. I'm glad it won the award.
And it can be used in choreography, and we use it to where it's representing the device that's dangling the cat burglar over the lab and moving around and gathering around, so it can be this interactive toy that's basically acting out your scene in the scene. We use it in a lot of different ways that way. But I love that crane to death, and it's so well done. And in addition to that, if you get into crane multi-ball, the crane will pick up balls and it will fling them across the playfield at you. So we use the hell out of that thing, and I love it.
The theme got brought up. Then I think a lot of the playfields do the ball catching, like lock. What would you call it? You said it earlier, but like every shot can kind of like capture the ball away and then shoot it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Was the crane always part of this theme?
Yeah, from the get-go, like we didn't know what it was going to be at the beginning, but I knew that. Well, I'll say this: I put it at the top of the priority list to have something that could could move in 3 dimensions and bring a ball out over the playfield as part of this game. And so that was always from the beginning. When it became a crane that fit in well, because I also always had this idea of the upper playfield being like this representation of Ocean City, right? And I always like games that have a unified theme instead of just, the different things put everywhere. I kind of liked everything kind of mostly being in the same scale and all fitting in back there, and being able to light up the windows and light up the signs and do all sorts of stuff like that. So the crane fit in well with the Ocean City skyline. And I always had the idea for the lower playfield main screen to be this flowing cityscape towards you, because I like the idea that as you're shooting a ball up the playfield and the cityscape has this slow flowing towards you, it kind of gives the optical illusion of this ball going faster and flying around the playfield a lot faster. So, and it has the opposite effect where it looks like it's kind of slowing it down mentally when it's coming down towards the flippers. So, that was always part of the idea of the game from the beginning, is that we have something in the game that would bring the ball down. Okay,
so you had the kind of idea for the city and the crane mech of some sort. What about the jail? Because that's very like a medieval madness-esque. And it's very prominent in that middle shot is this jail that can then raise up and you can shoot into it.
Yeah, that didn't start off there. We kind of were throwing around the ideas of having a jail. I knew we had to have some antagonists in the game, and it's a cops and robbers game, right? So you had to have the police in there somewhere. So we had thought of different places around the playfield to put it, but then it was pretty early on that we realized that we could stick a jail like in the middle as a bash target that you could get in and get out of with this raising jail door. And there was a lot of ideas like that, and pretty much every idea we had, we were able to put into the game, for, one thing I wanted, like, let's see if we can't grab the ball on every shot. We were able to do that. We were able to put in this raising the lower end jail door, and put in this awesome crane, put in this flipper that ended up having a cool little pocket behind it where you could catch the ball. So that was something that we had always talked about at the beginning, but it really worked out well, being able to put it right in the middle to have something to shoot for.
That lockpick side job, god damn, that is the hardest side job. Like, the Hack the Planet one can be kind of mean when it's like the cat burglar shot scoop, so the left ramp scoop. That one can be pretty tricky. But God, getting that lockpick shot for that mini mode is so hard. I mean, it is.
Yeah, but let me tell you this: when you get it, isn't it the greatest feeling in the world when you get it?
Oh yeah, no, like, without a doubt. Because I have gotten it before, and I'll never forget. Parnell was over playing it, and he got it like half a second too late, and he like got really excited. And,
which is this where you have to raise the upper flipper to shoot behind it?
Yep.
Oh, fuck, that shot's hard.
But it is so rewarding when you get it. And seeing, go ahead.
The first time we set up Phil Grimaldi from Space City Pinball came over to my house early on, and we streamed my game from my house early on, and the whole time, like, Phil is one of those world class competitors. Like, he's really great at pinball, but we were both like sitting there playing through it, and every time the pick and roll would come up, it was a big deal. We were trying to do it, and then Phil left to go to the bathroom, and I got a pick and roll like right when he was gone to the bathroom, but I was just like, he's never gonna believe me that I did this. And then I realized, oh wait, it's on the stream, he'll see it, so I've got proof. But yeah, no, it's a great feeling when you hit that, and like I said, not that we've got easy ones, fairly easy side jobs, and more difficult side jobs. There's easier modes than other modes, and I like that diversity, right? I like that you can have some that are challenging that you keep coming back to, some that you can get really good at. And I mean, even the easiest one I'd say is probably the wheelman mode. But even some days I'm just like, man, I can't hit anything in this wheelman mode, to get through it. But I'm fine in all the rest of them. So, but I'll say this: I love the side jobs in the game. The whole idea was to figure out ways to use the crane more and to use the features of the game more, like the wall scoop assembly, and do stuff like that, and to have them be things that you could choose to avoid if you wanted to, if you didn't want to play them, but have them be quick little demos. They also a lot of them helped us introduce the upper flipper to people if they didn't realize it was there. We can play a little animation saying, hey, hit this button, so that you can use the upper flipper to try to hit this side loop or something like that. So I'd love those little, that was kind of a late addition to the game to put in these little side jobs, but they do the job they're supposed to do, which are just quick little fun things you can do. And they're challenging, but you can do them or not if you want. But if you do, it helps you out in the game.
Yeah, the brevity is super nice. And you are correct. There are definitely modes where I'm like, yes, like I got an easier one. And then there's other ones where I'm like, I kind of almost like get that single drop of sweat, fall down the front of my face when they come. 'Cause it's like, oh no. And
I can taste that sweat every single time. It's so salty. I love it.
and it is. It's a ton of fun because, you can choose not to do it, but it seriously can harm you if you don't run after those to an extent, because the opportunity for you to completely make the shots required to get that character ready to start their task to attempt to get their mode complete and their MacGuffin, is pretty critical, I think, for trying to progress further into the game.
Yeah, I mean, now with the new code, it's easier to start the character modes and everything. So the side jokes are a lot more just about a fun little thing if you want to do them. But you can you can try if you're laser focused on getting to the big final heist, you can ignore them, and it doesn't take much time to not do them. But I don't know. Every time that crane comes down for Crane Kaboom, where you gotta bash the crane for 15 seconds, I love that, and I'll do it every chance I get.
That is sneakingly probably one of the most dangerous modes, because you're like, oh, I'm just gonna hit the crane. You gotta be careful how you're hitting that crane, because the crane isn't like you think it's easy, and it can be, but at the same time it can be a dangerous shot, and that's what's
it can be a dangerous shot. I think the trick is try to work on your life catching, catch it up, wait till the crane's to the left or to the right, so you can bank it off the side to where it's gonna bounce into something and get back to a flipper from an angle, so you can save the shots and all that. If you're just flailing at it, then you're hitting a short shot up close. That's moving, so there's a lot of unpredictability,
especially when it's in between the flippers. I can't tell you how many people, like my one of my friends that came over and tried it, and I think I've seen Parnell do it too, where like the crane stops and it's like, come on, hit me. I'm right in between the flippers. Come on. It's such an easy shot. And they take that shot and I'm like, oh man.
If you do, just try to do a glancing shot, try to get up the side. And if you miss, you're just going to slide into the side target. So, yeah.
And then I really do, I guess the last thing I want to say before maybe we get off the crane topic, I hate to use this reference, but it's kind of accurate, but also updated. I love the beginning of Crane Multiball, where it's like a missed multiball 2.0, where instead of just going left to right and you know exactly where the ball is going to be like moving, it is just like somewhat, it seems like sporadically like moving across the play field, and you have to make that shot. Like that is like seriously one of the coolest little, just one of those like little sprinkles, right? I mean, there's all those different like moments in the game, and that's definitely one of them that I like. It's probably one of my more favorite moments, is getting to that point and having that opportunity and seeing the ball like skirt across the play field with the crane holding it there. That's a ton of fun.
Yeah, and if you start Crane multi-ball and you miss the ball, like you don't knock it off, we'll still give you the multi-ball. You just have the 2 balls, free ball. You don't have them going out. But like there's a lot of things that we're able to do, right? If we weren't able to extend that crane, all we could do is move that ball in an arc, right? But we can do a straight line across the play field because we can extend it on the Z-axis, And we, the one thing I love about it too is like if you complete the first stage of Cat Burglar, we also lower the ball down to the play field, and it's like, get me off of here. But if you've completed all of her shots beforehand, you get her MacGuffin scoop that pops up, and you have the opportunity to carom the ball off the magnet of the crane into the MacGuffin scoop in one shot, and you end up skipping the Cat Burglar Escape multi-ball, which is actually a pretty hard subtractive multi-ball to go and find the exit. It's like Creature's Search, but you can do that bank shot off the crane directly into the scoop, and that's another one of those moments that's just super satisfying when you pull it off. You're like, I got it, and you end up escaping, getting out of the mode. Cat Burglar's not in jail, and it's good times. So I love the things we're able to do with that. And again, if you don't have a crane that can move in 3 directions and pick up a ball and be bashable and have an LED on the front, there's a lot of stuff you can't do that we're able to do with this thing. And we've got the widest variety of short shots in pinball, with this crane that can come up and basically represent a target anywhere on that middle playfield area, that can move. I love that our system can do moving targets,
Yeah, it is a ton of fun. And I have gotten that Cat Burglar, like knock the ball off the crane into the scoop, like all in one shot once.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
super amazing, but that is not an easy to set up shot. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of all sorts of like little mini mode games we could do with those kind of bank shots and stuff. But yeah, no. Speaking of moving shots, another one of my favorite things that we do in the game is having the armored car crosses and the police car crosses, right? Where we basically have this wall scoop assembly in the back of the playfield, and we can pop up a scoop that you can shoot at, or that can gobble a ball anywhere across the width of the playfield. And so what we do in this game is that we have like a little police car driving across the screen, and we've got a red and blue flashing scoops that are popping all up along with it. And if you hit that crossing police car, we gobble the ball up, and one of your characters that you earned is thrown in jail. So that's one of those negative shots you want to avoid if you're playing. But we also have the armored car that can go across the playfield left and right. You hit that, you get a ton of cash that's falling down the playfield, and you can collect that for crane multi-ball. And again, like, even if you don't need any more cash for crane multi-ball, if you see that armored car coming about, everybody's like, there's the armored car. I want to hit it. I want to hit this moving target that's going across the playfield. And I love that we can do that on this platform.
Yeah, I want to hit it, and then I miss it.
Yeah, but it makes those times that you hit it that much sweeter, you know?
It's so fun because it's I don't know how you activate it, but like, it's fun to all of a sudden it starts going. You're like, drop the ball, get it. Yeah, it's one of those like not needed but urgent feeling things. There's a lot of things this game does that makes you like feel good or fun when you get it.
Yep, that's what I think everybody who's designing games is going for. So it's nice to hear that we hit it.
I guess one question I do have as well is, did the playfield start out a lot different?
We went through a lot of different iterations, a lot of different ideas, but it wasn't crazy different. Like another one of those concepts that I liked at the beginning was like, I like the ability to alternate ramps, to go the ramps that feed the opposite flipper. So to go left to right. So I was like, if we can get the ramps that go to the other flipper, at least on this game, I like that. And the main concept is having a flowy playfield that you have a ton of combo opportunities, but you can also grab the ball. We can stop the ball at any shot to do things with. And then because the P3 has the launch capability all across the width of the playfield, because the way that the trough design is designed in the back of the playfield, it's kind of awesome that we can grab the ball from anywhere and then pop it up, transport that ball somewhere else on the playfield, and bring it out in a completely different place. So all those, mostly it was starting off with, what can this platform do and how do we leverage that to the maximum effect in this game? And so, yeah, from the get-go, we kind of had that in mind. And there was, of course, lots of iterations with the layout and different things changing, being able to have we call it the high wire, going from the the back behind the left ramp that leads across the other side to the crane ball lock. That's something that came in a little bit later, but we're glad that way we could load the crane up from either ramp, and so and we could launch a ball and put it on the crane from our launcher back there. So yeah, not too much change over the course of it. It's just a lot of refining over the development cycle.
Sure, like the little tweaks to make sure it shoots right.
Yeah, that, and mostly just tweaking to make sure it shoots right and make sure that it's what's the word used? Kinetically satisfying? Yeah, that.
Heck yeah, it is definitely very kinetically satisfying.
I think somebody else has a trademark on that.
Well, yeah, I mean they have something very similar, but yeah, it's very it's good stuff. So Stephen, one of the really amazing super cool things that you guys have done with Heist is the new wizard mode that you have is a 15-ball multi-ball. So I guess the first question is, how did you guys necessarily stumble upon that number exactly? Was it just 15? Because I did notice before this update came out, you guys did have on the back of my module saying the game needed 15 balls, but I didn't think anything of it at the time.
Yeah, so that was one thing that we had talked about early on. The way the trough works in the back of the P3 is that, you know, the balls all line up. So like to line it up with our, you know, buck over on the VK on the right side, you know, you've got a stack of balls leading there. And so like to stage the balls in different places around the playfield and to have reliable launches when you need them in those playfield, it's designed around having a lot of balls. Lexi shipped with 12, I think. The CCR required 13. And for us to put everything around the playfield, it was gonna require 15 balls to set that up. But early on, we kind of had the notion, and I know Jerry had talked about it early on, about, you know, we can do a massive multi-ball like this. And so that was whenever we, like I said, we started with the third act, you know, that was the most obvious thing to do. I was like, well, that could be, in my mind, I was like, that's what you get to. You get to this massive multi-ball at the end of the wizard mode. And that's your reward. And you got to get through that, survive the 15 balls and hit all your targets. And you got to hit this big final shot to finish the big final heist. And so, we always had, so the idea was always there. It worked out to be 15. And that you know, whenever we got through designing where we wanted all the balls to be, because we also have balls staged in the back at another up kicker. And so that just worked out that way.
Yeah. And I guess the other question I have for you, kind of in tandem, is how does it feel knocking Apollo 13 off the record, huh? That's got to feel pretty good, right?
I don't know. I like Apollo 13. I like it's a neat gimmick and everything, but it's cool, like to have something that you've done that breaks the record. And I think the way we did it, which is to save it for the very end, right? It's not this thing that you know, that is like oppressive and overwhelming like early on. It's something you've got to work for and get to, and it's an event when it happens at the end, towards the end, you know. And so I like that a lot. It's in everybody, and when you watch a stream, you watch somebody get there. When they finally make it there, you just it does two things. It also gives us a chance to set up narratively on our screen. We've got these cutscenes in between it that tells the story of this big final heist that you go through it. So while we're staging all those 15 balls, we got time to tell the final end of this story, the final bit of this story, narratively. And so there's a lot of things I like about it, and that's a couple of them.
Do you like it when you hear the loading of the 15 balls? Because on the stream, it was kind of funny when Kevin was like, "Uh-oh, what's it doing?" And it's like, ka-choom, 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 ka-choom. And it's just like,
yeah,
oh, something big's gonna happen.
Yeah, and Jerry and Greg Goldie did awesome work on the light show during the final wizard heist, and like every time a ball's coming across, we've got the light trail tracing along with the balls as they're coming along. So you see every one of those 14 balls get lined up on the right side, ready to go. And so it's a big build up to it.
It is definitely one of the most immersive games that I've ever played, just because you do really get sucked into everything that you're doing. I mean, making sure that you're making the right shots, and you do have to be kind of quick on your feet with the cops coming. And I don't know, I think they can come during a mode, right?
Well, no, we shut them off during modes.
Did you?
Because
okay.
Because the whole concept is that the police are only there if you have characters to lose, right? And so in a mode, you don't have the communication on the screen. You don't have the UX of saying like, these are the characters that I have on my team, and these are the characters that I don't. These are my team crew members that I've got, and these are the ones that I don't. So, and it also is something that would interrupt your shots in a timed mode, and we don't want to do that either. And so we leave them out during the modes. When you get back to the home mode, that's whenever, once you have characters, they start coming, and then as you get more characters in the game, there's call outs in the game that's like, we're increasing patrols, sir, and they're sending out more of them, because you've been hitting Mr. Big's properties all over town, and he's wanting his lackeys to get on it and hunt you down. And so it starts getting more difficult it's not too difficult to get around them. If you can just trap up, you can miss them. But I was watching somebody else run it the other day, and I was just like, my dream is going to be somebody breaks somebody out of jail, the last person out of jail. The big final heist is relit for that final shot, and they go to hit that final shot, and a police car comes up and grabs that ball right before it gets into the big final heist. They got to go break that person out of jail again. That's my dream, for that to happen to somebody, and they're cussing me over the internet when it happens, but I can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah, I can't quite remember myself, and that's why I kind of made that comment. There was something going on in game, and I can't remember the other day, where I guess I wasn't in a mode, but I was really in a rush to do something, and I couldn't necessarily tell you exactly what that was, but they said, the cops are coming, and I was like, I prayed, and I think I needed to shoot for crane multi-ball, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it, and let the dogs of war eat. And I biffed the shot, totally biffed it, and I was so lucky because for whatever reason, the game had been nice that one time, and it started the cops on the other side. So it came from the left orbit over, and I was just like, oh, thank God. But yeah, it is like, you definitely, if the ball isn't in control, you are definitely like, oh no, like, where are the cops coming from? I need to get this ball trapped immediately before something silly happens. Because
it was bouncing around in there, it could just roll in the side of one of those scoops, and then it eats away, and so I don't know, like this is one of these advantages about doing original themes, right? Is that you get to play around with all these ideas and do anything you want with this world, and create the whole world, and create all the characters, and do fun little ideas that aren't within the confines of whatever the properties are, or what clips you have, or whatever else, stuff like that. And so that's why I feel incredibly lucky that I got to do an original theme game. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, you definitely not only get the freedom to do what you want, but you get the freedom in what assets you can use, and what music, and what call outs. Because another thing that I didn't really get to gawk about for a moment was just how absolutely amazing some of the call outs you have in the game. Like, I love Hack the Planet, because I mean, that's totally a throwback to Hackers. I can't even like repeat some of them off the top of my head, but it's been like 80s and 90s, like action movie quotes. And I love that they're not like necessarily overused, but they're sprinkled in there along with a lot of the other call outs that are there. And I definitely appreciated some of the throwback to those like 80s and 90s movies that I kind of, saw a few of the call outs referring to. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, we had a ton of fun writing those call outs and recording those call outs. I had like 1,500 individual call out files at the end of the day to work from in this game whenever we got finished recording from all those. I mean, you think about it, you got 6 characters plus Mr. Big plus the 4 different variations of the police officers and things like that. So just a ton of fun with that. And I did put a rule on our writing session. I'm like, all right, we're allowed to use the in Soviet Russia joke once, and that's it, which is really hard when you got a Soviet Russian character in the game. You just go to that well all the time.
Yeah, what is that? In Soviet Russia, what was it? I forget what it was.
Ball save you.
Yes. That was great when I did hear it. And you're right. I definitely don't hear it a lot. Like, it's not something that I.
Well, that's the thing. We were able to do like 7 different variations of a lot of the different stuff. There's some narrative stuff that is in there to give important information. But anytime we do have a bunch of different options, you've got not only options of a call out from each of the 6 characters, but you've got multiple variations of what they might say in that situation for each of those situations. So, and we just had, and I've got access to some really great voice actors. Joe Grisafi is a local director guy in town, and he played the Willie character, and he did a fantastic job there. And John Swayze was my Mr. Big, and his daughter Olivia was the hacker, and she was able to pull off this this really sarcastic 90s teenage prodigy character really well. And what's interesting is that she played Lexi in the Lexi Lightspeed game, and John played the rest of the characters in Lexi. So they came back for this game, and I thought they did really well. But all of them did such a great job. And every time I hear Leo saying his lines, and they're always cracking me up. Leo's just hilarious.
Well, and I know you had said 1,500 call-outs. So how many are actually in like the game right now? Is it that 1,500 number you mentioned earlier in total?
It's something less than that when we came down to it at the end of the day, because not all of them worked and ended up working and everything, but it's quite a bit. And we did a whole bunch of stuff where it's like, now just riff for a while, say some good things. You're excited about making the shot or whatever, and some now you're bummed out about missing it, stuff like that. So, but yeah, we used a lot of it, most of it, and plus we when we shipped the game, we still had another 6 stages to build and animate and create all those assets for the wizard mode that was coming. So that's whenever a big chunk of them came into the game also, was with this latest update.
Yeah. And I guess real quick, Parnell, before I let you go ahead and take it, is I definitely can attest there is a ton of call outs. Like, I do not hear the same call out very often at all, which is awesome. So thank you for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's some of it's unavoidable. Like, you get into modes, and there's certain instructions and stuff you're going to hear when you get into those modes and stuff. But no, it's I had a ton of fun recording them and putting them together and getting them into the game. There's one specific one that when I went to school at UT, and Matthew McConaughey is our famous alumni there. And when I was at school, I did a movie review show with my friends at the college TV station. And so we'd always get tickets to go to the screenings. And I think every year, whoever did the movie review show, it passed from one set of students to another. They'd always get these tickets and get to go interview the celebrities on the red carpet. And every time they go to Matthew McConaughey, I forget when it happened, but they started asking the same exact question every time. As a UT success story, what advice would you give students coming ahead? And he always gave a different, extremely McConaughey answer every single time. And the one year we did, he's like, what you need to do is you need to pick a direction, north, south, east, west, doesn't matter, and give yourself about 7 lanes to swerve. So I put this joke that I've been saying with my friends for like 20 years in this game. Nobody gets it but me and a bunch of my non-pinhead friends, but it just makes me happy. So happy every time I hear that call out, because I know exactly where it's from.
I have heard that call out before, and now it makes sense exactly where it came from. Yep.
Yeah, but any celebrity likenesses are purely coincidental lawyers out there, so just keep that in mind.
Since you used some of the same voice actors from a different game, do you think that they either had a more fun the second time, or they knew what to do, so they were even better? Like, they knew since they did Lexi, they come back for Heist, they knew that this shot is going to be exciting, or so their inflection in their voice was more prominent.
Yeah, I'd say like the second time around, there was less coaching about how pinball goes. But I'll say this: John Swayze, our voice actor, that guy is world famous in other groups outside of our group. He does voices for a lot of anime projects. He's the voice of a big character, one of the big bad guys on My Hero Academia, which is a big anime project. And so he's going to anime cons all the time, getting people's signatures all the time. So he's a big deal elsewhere in the world. He's a world-class voice talent. He can do anything you want in these things. So I feel extremely lucky with the entire cast of characters we were able to get in there, because they all extremely professional, and I've worked with them on video and film projects before, and so they know what they're doing. And so we get in there, and you're going to get a good quality product out of people whenever they're pros.
He's a voice in that anime?
Yeah, he's what is it? Which one's is it All Might? I got to look it up.
I only know
he's
of
one
it.
Of the big bad guys.
I've never actually watched it,
Yeah.
but I'm very aware of it. That's awesome.
My artist on Heist, Jose Fernandez, who did all the character art and the cabinet art and all the assets that I animated. I told him we had the guy from My Hero Academia, and he was just geeking out because he's just a few years younger than me, and that's like right in his wheelhouse. He's all about the anime stuff, and so he was real excited about it.
I want to say Nick Baldridge would love it too. Like he's kind of into some of that anime.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to tell Nick about that. Speaking of great P3 games, how great is Ranger in the Ruins, man?
Oh, my God. We can't gush over it too much because I know Nick's listening now.
He gets excited when you talk about it.
He does. I think he messaged me every time we mention it. He's like, "Hey, I'm really happy you're still liking Ranger in the Ruins."
Yeah, but you just talk about he's just such a great guy. I've hung out with him at a show, and you see what he's doing with other games. Like I played his multi bingo game at PPF, and it's just awesome. He totally gets, especially for a guy that's so involved in that pre-war and EM era and everything, grokking and understanding what we're doing with the P3. I just love that, because I'm the same way. I love these pre-war games. I think if you go back and look at some of the stuff that Rockolo was doing in the 30s, it just blows you away. That was stuff that we wouldn't get complexity of those kind of mechs almost ever again in pinball. And even though P3 is something completely different, it's digital and everything, you can definitely see kindred spirit between that kind of stuff. So I love seeing the stuff that him and Ryan Claytar are doing with their comics and stuff like that, and appreciating that older stuff. But it's nice seeing them being into this. And anytime I see people that can see what we're doing and understand what we're doing with the P3, it really makes me happy.
I'm excited to see his game on the Heist playfield, just because it's the first game on the Heist playfield that's not the Heist. So that'll be exciting.
I absolutely cannot wait to see what third-party games come for this playfield, right? Because this playfield has so much cool stuff that you can do with it. And actually, no, I did see Gamma Goat, Ian Harrower, had streamed his Heist game that he made, and he's making an electromechanical experience, an entirely electrical mechanical experience using the Heist playfield.
Is it on?
And it's awesome.
I watched his stream. I didn't realize it was on the Heist playfield. I guess I didn't even.
Yeah, you don't realize it, because
the screen
a lot of the game is using the side target. So
well, yeah,
it's awesome.
And the screen was this EM playfield, and then the side targets do a lot. That was fun to see his stream and him talk about what his ideas were. So
I loved the spinner having to go and cool down after you scored too many points. If you scored so many points so quickly, I guess that was really cool. Where the two wall scoop mechs came up and essentially blocked those shots and were red as they cooled down. That was super cool.
And I mean, how amazing is it that these are just normal people out there that bought a machine and are able to think around and get their ideas out there in the marketplace, out there in the world, without having to build a whole cabinet, build a whole machine. They can leverage the SDKs that the P3 has, and I love that stuff. I like I said, I genuinely, every time we did this, I was like, when we built this machine, I was like, I just cannot wait to see what people do with this playfield with their own ideas. And and put stuff out there. So we'll start seeing them. They'll start popping up. And if you're out there and you're wondering about a P3, and if you want to buy it for Heist or maybe buy it for CCR, or you love Lexi or something like that, you buy it once, you're into it, and this stuff is going to come. Like, people are going to make new stuff for this thing, and it's going to be ideas that you wouldn't see get through another manufacturing process or anything like that. You're going to see ideas that nobody could pull off with a traditional painted piece of wood. You know, you're going to see just amazing stuff come through, like, you know, like a single ball roguelike game that you come across the other people in the world who have played that game and left their last item that they collected that you could pick up. And it's just, that stuff just gets me so excited about the platform. And every time I see that, I get as excited as I did the very first time I saw, you know, that white box in the TPF showroom floor, just with a rudimentary game of Barnyard. I was just like, there's so much possibility here, and I love it.
Yeah, it seriously gets me all kinds of excited when we either get to see people coming out and talking about games that they're currently making themselves, or you know, occasionally getting to see progressions on the games that are already out that individuals are working on as well. You know, I didn't know that Gamma Goat was working on an EM experience on the Heist platform until pretty recently, maybe because I wasn't paying 100% attention to everything that goes on. But it was seriously really awesome to be able to see that and see something that I never thought I was going to see an electromechanical game on a P3. And it was really, really awesome, not only to see, but to see how well it worked, because he had just taken a little bit of time to set up the game to play that way, and was able to take advantage of things that, you know, you wouldn't necessarily be able to do anywhere near as easily as you can on the P3, because there is so much adjustability and versatility in the platform as a whole, both in coding and in the ability to, you know, down the road, add even more awesome features to the possible play field as well.
Yep. Now my question is when am I going to get to play Parnell's game for the P3? Because I've heard him talk about it.
I am creating a list. I don't want to give too much away on stream, or on the podcast, but I have a lot of ideas and they excite me. So I need to start rolling with it, because, right?
Well, I think that's it. Like you said, you didn't know Gamma Goat was working on this until he had something that was ready to show. And that seems to be pretty well. And I think that's some good advice to take, as you're doing a machine, like keep your circle close and get something that you're ready to show the world. And once you show everybody, and people are blown away with what you're able to reveal.
I too.
But yeah,
I'm actually working on a game as well.
Awesome. We got 2 more new ones coming.
What?
I'm excited.
Yeah. I've been talking to Nick a little bit about it.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, Parnell, you know about it too. You just forgot, apparently. We'll edit that out.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I do have a game that I know exactly what I want. I just need to figure out how to make Unity do it, which is pretty exciting. Yeah. So, and
Unity is a framework used in games all over the world. And the thing is like, I'm not even remotely a programmer, and I'm not a mechanical engineer. I'm a video guy, an animator, a creative type, and I got to make a game on this platform because all it really takes is when you don't have to go and build everything from the ground up and be a master of every single domain. You can you find that one friend who's a programmer. You get to find that one friend who is good with art and stuff like that. And you can get together a very small team and put something together and release it to the world without having to source a single part. You know, you can do it through. That's what Nick did with Ranger in the Ruins, right? He has a game that was nominated for Twippy Awards, and I voted for several of them for Ranger of the Ruins on the Twippies, you know, that without having to manufacture anything. And I think that's awesome. I love that democratization of the hobby through this platform.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool to hear him that he wanted, or at least tried to start everything himself, but then being able to pick up music from someone else, like license it, is very convenient. And it's also eye opening of like more than just me and Ryan spend money on stuff and lose money. but it's cool that you can then take your game like what Nick did and sell it. So now it's for sale in the store, and so his next game is going to be the same. And I don't think he's going to be able to get Quest for Glory unless the licensing goes. But that was a good learning experience, and I think it's the same. We're going to have Nick back on, and we're going to kind of just do a high level how to start making a game on P3. Nick has a lot of experience with that, and it'll be kind of good just because it's easy to make lists and have dreams, but the hardest part is actually starting the game. Once you start, I think you kind of get sucked in, so it'll be easier to keep rolling and upgrading it.
And there's a big community of people that you can reach out to and lean on the Slack channels that we've got and things like that. And Jerry and the guys are always helpful with advice. And like I said, it's the easiest way to get your idea out there in the world on a physical game playing, so people can enjoy it, right? Also, if you want to, anybody could do this. Any manufacturer could do this. If they want to, you could build a whole game module, and you're only responsible for building about a third of what it would take to populate an entire playfield, and the cabinets there and everything else is there. All you've got to do is create the content and to do the fun part of the pinball is easy mantra, which is the design part, and then release a playfield module for the P3 and sell it to the existing install base. And who has a P3 wouldn't want a new playfield module from somebody else? And I'm excited to see what people do with this platform in the future.
Yeah, I seriously can't wait. I get excited whenever any news drops. Obviously we got a snippet that there is another title coming up from P3, and that Scott Denisi's doing the sound for it. And I couldn't tell you how absolutely out of my skin excited I was to find out that information. I probably was on a high for the rest of the week after talking to him about that, because there are some truly amazing things that we've gotten to see thus far, and even more that are probably just right around the corner.
Yeah, well, Scott's a great guy, and it's been fun talking with him recently. So I'm excited to see what he does. So
absolutely, yep, no, yeah, exactly.
We just need more of that, EDM-y like music pounding through those speakers. Because I was going to say, you don't even need a shaker mod. Those speakers slam hard.
I think
they really do
slap, and they definitely slap.
Smack at the base.
Well, they do, man. It's just you just drive those things. Me, I've got small kids that go to sleep early, so I got it turned down. But yeah, that thing can definitely rumble.
I mean, it's other than TNA. I had to buy the anti-vibration glass stuff for my Heist because I do like it louder, and man, it absolutely can rumble. When it needs to, it definitely will rumble, and it is so cool. I love it.
Yeah, pop in. Do you have the Lexi playfield?
I do.
Yeah, pop in Lexi, listen to the David Thiel soundtrack, and that thing kicks, man.
Yeah, it really does. I guess next time we sit down with Jerry, I should try to find out what kind of sound system they have in it, exactly. I don't know if that's something you would know, but Parnell, that's some notes we should put down for next time we talk with him.
I know there was some nice, I don't know if you call them tweeters, but the two ways in the back box and the speaker. It really comes down to what drives them as well, making sure that it's
Yeah, I'd be curious to know
pressure.
like how many watts the total system is, just because it really does sound amazing. And the Heist music really comes through nice in it too. I love the soundtrack in that, by the way. Not to get back onto
Yeah.
Heist, but man, let me tell you, you
we
did
worked with
another
a
good
guy
thing
named
there.
Jonas, my musician Jonas. He really knocked it out of the park with that. Like I just had some ideas, and I was sending them stuff from like, the Snatch soundtrack and this, and I was like, for Hacker, we wanted to kind of have this sneakers like '90s feel to it and all this other stuff. But he just really was able to capture that vibe of the heisty stuff, and then every I'll say this, every second of the game you feel like you're feeling like you're in a heist movie. So he did a really great job.
Did you watch like a bunch of Ocean's 11 and stuff to try to get back like ideas?
I spent a bit of time watching a lot of heist movies. Like I had already seen the Ocean's movies. I think Ocean's 8 had just come out when we started this. So we came out and we're like, yeah, that's a movie that they really did everything in the book with the heist thing. But you're able to come up with all the tropes, and we would go through and like list all the tropes that we're trying to hit. And one thing that's so great about the theme is that it's so universal. Like people know all the tropes and everything else, and you just have a lot of fun playing around in that space. And who doesn't want to be part of a crew that's breaking in and stealing jewels and stealing cars and trying to take down a corrupt billionaire in your city?
Oh, another quick question here. What's your record for most crosstown combos in a row during that side job? Because if I get to that point where it's like, let's see how many you can do in a row, one is the correct answer there.
I think I've gotten about 3, but that ball comes screaming around the thing. So if you get into a groove with it, like your second time it's got to be a little quicker, your third time's got to be a lot quicker. But yeah, I think I've gotten about 3 on there. It's about all you can do. But the real reward is just getting to that third stage where it's like, let's see how many times you can do it. That's when you've made it. You're a crosstown champion at that point. In my book.
Yeah, it definitely is a fast shot, especially when you don't have a scoop catching it.
Yeah. And that was the geometry on that shot turned out to be something we weren't expecting in the beginning, but turned out to be a real happy surprise. We're like, you can hit the outer orbit, the left ramp, the side loop, the inner orbit, and you can hit the jail all from that upper flipper. And it's like probably the most useful upper flipper I've seen in a pinball game, where you just hit all sorts of stuff with that. And there's been times whenever it's launching a ball out of there and I've got the jail open for something. And I'm just like, I'm going to get it in that jail. And I'm able to do, again, it's a little mini accomplishment that it's not specifically designed to do, but you can do. And it just feels great when you can pull it off. And so I love the variety that flipper gives us.
Okay, so I'm not the only one, because I know Parnell's even seen me where I've made like the left orbit and the left ramp before with the upper flipper. And it is really cool, the diversity that upper flipper has, because it's not like it's just that one shot. And I think a stand-up or 2 over there as well, if you
oh yeah, you get the stand-ups. The stand-ups, actually the stand-ups aimed right at it, so that ATM target is kind of meant for the side flipper, but you can always carry them the lower flipper shot off of it. But you can hit the police locks, you can do all that. But yeah, it's actually in that first stream we had, one of the things we clipped was, and I was not having a particularly good game, and then I went into, that's the other time, as soon as Phil Grimaldi, world class pinball player, leaves the room, all of a sudden I had an upper flipper, outer orbit, inner orbit, outer orbit combo from that upper flipper, like all 3 in a row. And then right after that do a pick and roll catch underneath that upper flipper for the thing. And it was just the greatest 30 seconds of pinball that he didn't see. So that's how it works with you. It's like you don't play well until, you can't, nobody's watching. So.
Or when you're in a rush. That's another thing I've noticed. I'll turn on a game and I'm like, yeah, I got 5 minutes. And this game normally kicks my ass in 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden you end up having like a 25-minute in your game and you're like, damn it. Like I'm late to where I'm supposed to be going, but I'm having too good of a game to like stop,
Yeah.
That always seems to happen to me.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, like, you might listen to this, I'm biased and everything, but I've been play testing this game for 3 years now, 2 years of play testing. We've been working on it for like 3 years, doing everything to animate all these assets, create the massive amount of content that's in this game and testing everything. And I still, every time I get up to it and press play, I'm not anywhere remotely sick of it. I always find different things to do, and I find myself reaching for that start button again to keep going for these things. And some of it's leveraging some of it's leveraging the platform itself, like being able to start from a specific save state and go from further on in the game and just make big final heist runs, things like that. Like I still enjoy it a ton. So it's really satisfying to hear guys like you get on here who played it and get what we were going for. And I appreciate all the kind words you guys have said about it.
I absolutely love it. I know Parnell does too. He's, I think, closing in on selling his AC/DC so he can have almost a P3 ready to purchase, which is super duper exciting.
I keep
cheering him on.
I keep joking with Ryan that by the time this dumb game sells and I get ready to buy a P3, the next game will be out and I'll be like, oh shit, is it going to be Heist or this new one? No.
By the time this beautiful, very attractive in the marketplace game sells, is what you meant.
Yeah.
So.
It's a super nice game. Yeah, it's like it comes down to be, this is like the first game I'd sell, but when you have a collection of like pretty good games, it's like, well, it's a hard problem for me. It's going to be a great game for someone else.
Yeah.
But
and that's the thing I found too, is that once I got my P3 and I got all my games in there, I had a bunch of games that I was like, I wouldn't sell because I was like, I'd have a tough time, getting another one at some point. But like I said, as time goes on, I find, more and more that the diversity of the P3 and all the stuff we can do with it's the game I go to whenever we're just trying to kill time. And so I've sold a couple of games that I really love that I was like, I'm just not touching anymore, so I think it's a good compliment in any game room, but it's something that I think every game room can benefit from, because there literally is something for everybody in your house, and there's things you can do on there that you can't do anywhere else, like play people online across the globe and things like that. So that's my pitch for it, but genuinely, as an owner of the platform, I love everything about it.
So my game room has shrunken to a specific size of, in theory, 5 games. And that's because of like the family and our remodel and stuff like that. So I'm getting rid of a couple. So I'm going down to 6 in the house. And the P3 will be one of those 6. And then I have to figure out what to do. But I love the idea of having a ton of games for the entire family, friends, like just a mix in one machine. But then you're not stuck with what you currently have. Like to Jerry, when we had Jerry on the podcast, to his point, it was like, there's going to be games in the future that you just have no idea what's coming. And that could be your most favorite game ever. Like you might not like Cosmic Kart, but all of a sudden, the Heist drops and you love it. So it's a different mentality.
And let's say you started with 7 games and you downsized the 7th and a 6th to get down to a P3, right? But the P3 comes with like 5 games. So you took your 7-game collection and turned it into a 10-game collection while saving space, right? So like it's kind of hard to tell people like how many games you have in your game room because one of those games literally is like almost a dozen games up there in one box. So it's such a great platform, and I can't wait for more people to see it and experience it and start getting in their game room. And all I'll say is that more stuff is coming, and it's cool stuff. So.
Yeah, Nick has been super helpful. I have a skill roll that he's been kind of coaching me on what to look for, and then I had a little issue with the Swords of Fury that he is he's pretty good about reading schematics quickly. And when we do the P3 episode, that'll be fun because he'll probably get me and maybe Ryan kind of charged up on, okay, what do we need to do? We need to install Unity and the SDK and sign up to be, a user at this website, Multimorphic, and then he'll walk us through a little bit and we'll kind of just chit chat about assets and things and what you should do to plan. And I think that'll maybe even jumpstart some people to think about making their own, even if it's super simple or if their first game, like I keep telling Ryan, your first time you do something is not going to be great. Like, don't think it's going to be this great thing of art. Use it as your learning experience and then keep going from there.
Yeah. And I'm not a programmer, but I have to dive into Unity to grab stuff and do testing of a game. You can do a lot of simulation of your game in Unity. My understanding is that with the SDK, you get a sample game that gets you up and running with flippers and controlling everything and all the stuff, like the groundwork is there to work with any of these playfields. So you can target a specific playfield or you can target all the playfields. The shoot and scoot, the last game Jerry released, the mini game works with all of our playfields. It just knows if you make a shot on this side, what it's worth and what it does and that side. And so it's like I said, if you're at all interested in designing a game, look into a P3. It's definitely the way to go.
I think Gamma Goat did that. He took the demo playfield and then created his game. I think he mentioned that on the stream.
Yeah. So Buffalo Pinball had a contest to see who could do the best cover of their theme song, and Gamma Goat in that week or so of the contest got a game up and running that basically played all the lyrics of the song. Like, I need a ramp, you hit a ramp shot and it plays that lyric, I need a scoop. And so then he played it perfectly in time with the music, where he got the double super jackpot on the crosstown shot on Heist. And that was my favorite thing I've ever seen. Like, somebody went and programmed an entire game just for this contest. So it was so well done.
I love tinkering with stuff, and so being able to at least think that I can make a game and even potentially do it is a large part of being excited for the platform.
Yeah, definitely.
Even if I suck at making this game, like at least I can try, and maybe my daughter will like it.
And you put it out there, and other people will download it because they can, and you'll find people that enjoy your ideas, and maybe you find a collaborative partner through that. Your next game is even better. So I'm excited to see what you guys come up with, and anybody else that wants to download the SDK and get running.
Yep, that's the thing we got to remind people. You don't need a P3 to make a game or an app.
Yeah, at some point you'll probably want to test it on a system, right? So you want to, either get a game or buddy up with somebody who has a game to test it. But I've seen stuff come through that was made entirely in the SDK. Real interesting ideas.
Oh, see, it'd be kind of fun to have like a multimorphic indie day, and as long as the creators were okay with it, show off just stuff that never made it, or at least never made it to the people didn't want to release it, or it was just kind of test ideas and just kind of showcase a bunch of just random app game thoughts.
Yeah, Gamma Goat was I wouldn't release Double Super Jackpot in my game for anybody because it's such a simple idea. But when Kevin spent 30 or 40 shots at the side target trying to get to the 15-ball multi-ball and beat the 15-ball multi-ball and Heist, he was like, what would have helped? If I had double super jackpot to practice this shot over and over again. Gamma Goat, you should have released it.
Well, let's see.
Oh, I have a question. Yeah. Oh, no, I've got a question locked and loaded for you.
Ooh.
What's it like working with Jerry?
Ooh, Jerry.
Besides the fact that if anything's wrong, it's Jerry's fault. So
No. I just about that. No, honestly, like Jerry is a really, really good pinball player. Like he's really skilled. So like it's a good balance because I was like, yeah, Jerry, this sequence works really well for you, but I'm bricking all day long, so we got to change it or whatnot. But no, Jerry's just first of all, Jerry's brilliant. Like anybody who can come up with this kind of system and put together this company that is centered on just ideas and innovation like he does, it's a real privilege to work around people like him, and he attracts people like him that have that kind of mindset. So working in this company and working with these people, you get a chance to work with a lot of really brilliant people, and it's really, really exciting to run through rule scenarios and stuff like that because he's very, very good at coming up with, well, what have you thought about this and that and the other. And so I've enjoyed the collaboration a ton. Working through Heist and before that, working for years on all sorts of aspects of videos and promoting the games and doing stuff like designing the call out system and stuff for Lexi and things like that.
Yeah, Jerry absolutely will get on to Cosmic Kart Racing and absolutely obliterate me when we're playing multiplayer.
Yeah, but every once in a while you beat him.
Yeah.
The trick is every once in a while you get that one where you sneak past him at the last second and then you say, I'm never playing you again. The last time we played, I was the champion. So that's the way you do it. And then you just never let him forget. Because I did that once. I snuck past him in like a half a second left. And that's always something I bring up. But another thing about him is that Jerry is so when Multimorphic was starting, it was at a time in the industry where there was a lot of boutique startups and stuff like that. And a lot of people going around and taking money and basically funding the development of games off of pre-order money and stuff like that. And that's something Jerry never did. From the very get-go, he was like, no, we're going to self-finance this because if anybody gives any money, that money has to be set aside for actually building the games and ordering parts and building the games and then touch it. And I've had such respect for his integrity, his business integrity, and it's been hard. Like it required a lot of sacrifice to do it that way, but he never for 1 second thought he was going to go and do something like fund this company with pre-order money from customers because that makes customers investors in the company. And then it leaves somebody holding the bag when that money's gone and you've got to actually deliver those games. And so we've seen the rise and fall of a bunch of different people that have tried those methods of doing stuff, and he just never has. And it's been a bootstrap situation for a long time, but I'm extremely proud of being associated with a company that has the integrity that it does, and that has always delivered on every promise it's made. Like has gone out and did what we said we're going to do. And so I appreciate that a ton.
Well, that is, yeah. I mean, I have gotten to interact with Jerry as well, and he has seriously been one of the nicest people that I've gotten to interact with in pinball, it seems like. So, yeah, Jerry is a super amazing person. And obviously I was in jest earlier saying, it's always his fault, but he's brilliant. I tried throwing ideas at him about like games that you guys currently have, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a good idea, but it's not." And he explains like why in really like vivid detail, so I understand like why that isn't as good of an idea as I thought it was. But I guess that's one thing that I'll also say is like, he doesn't just say like no to something. He will go in and try to explain so you understand it. And that's definitely something that you don't necessarily see all the time. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, no, Jerry's one of the straightest shooters I know and all that. And I've gotten to experience a little bit of being inside of Jerry's brain because I've gotten this too where like I'll be like, I've been thinking about this problem every day for 2 years on development of this game, right? And then somebody comes up and they've considered the problem for 20 minutes and they're like, yeah, you should have done this. And they're like, oh, that's great. Yeah, you solved all. It's like, do you have like 2 hours to talk about all the reasons why we realize that's not going to work with that? So incredibly patient, but again, super nice and like deals with the Multimorphic has some of the best customer service in the industry. You ask anybody who's bought a game from them, you hear how fast Jerry and TJ get back out of their extremely busy schedules and help people out and do that. And that's a choice, right? You don't have to do it that way, and they do. So I can't say enough nice things about them.
Yeah, I've had some interactions with them as well, and they have been super amazing to work with. Very Johnny on the spot getting back to me. Jerry said, anybody else who's willing to help whenever, any time of day. Me, not so much because I bother them all the time. But truthfully, I am very much blown away and still in a sense of like awe versus some of the other manufacturers that are out there that unfortunately don't have that great customer service. So I will totally, again, echo, as I have many times, the customer service is the best, like hands down.
Yep. And a 2-year warranty, 2-year manufacturer warranty. Like how great is that? Right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And the ability that if you have a problem with like a playfield or something, if you can't fix it, you can literally send it back, and it's not like a huge deal to like pop a playfield out. And heavens forbid if it got to that point, it's easy to do.
Yeah, and I've heard this criticism a lot. People are like, "Why would you change things?" Like there seems like in the industry there's sort of this resistance to change anything that's too far away from the pinball they've always known, but this is a well-considered solution to a lot of problems that are just difficult things by the nature of the traditional wooden playfield system that we've had for 100 years and that Jerry's put together in this system. And it allows for stuff that you can do. Like if you're somebody who has never touched a soldering iron or anything like that, and you have something that breaks, it's literally a module you can pop out, and you can have a replacement ready to go, ready to pop back in and plug a connector up and get going on, or you can send something back in and have it be fixed. But the maintenance story on the P3 is a huge deal. It's something that is not a sexy bullet point that people talk about or consider a whole lot when they're making their game buying decisions and things like that. But it's a real deal. Like it solves a lot of problems with having to fix the game. And the mantra of don't bring your soldering iron to the game, bring your game to the soldering iron is true. Like I've had to make some adjustments on my Heist playfield because I have an early release module and I needed to get some updates that have been shipped out since then. And I can pull this thing over onto my workbench and get access to the side underneath the playfield. Super easy. I'm not leaning over a game. I'm not wearing a light on my head to try to shine into a dark corner of a cabinet. I'm doing everything where it's comfortable, where I can easily work and fix these things. And that's huge. And if I know, like you said you had some issues with your playfield, you were able to send the entire thing back in and get it fixed and get it sent back, in almost no time at all. And those kind of things that's not a choice from the other people because they can't, because you don't have modular systems on the other machines. They don't have the ability to do easier maintenance solutions like this. So all of these problems, these are real problems in the world that the P3 is solving, and they're solving them in really brilliant ways and really smart ways.
Yeah, I totally agree. Best pinball purchase of my life, 100% was getting the P3. Parnell, are there any other questions you'd like to ask our guest this evening? before we let him go and get back to his family and not be sitting on here with two idiots talking to him?
No, I think that's it. Oh, no, I did. Are there any high-level differences that are easy to explain for the initial release of Heist versus this big update that came out?
Yeah, the high level stuff is that, again, the original game, it was the depth of it like ended at the like you could play all the character modes, and you were trying to work towards getting to the upper level heists, which was really challenging, and collecting the jewels and things like that, and working on other kind of jailbreak strategies and things like that. And because the wizard mode adds so much more depth onto the game, it's a six stage wizard mode where you're basically going through and you're playing the big final heist. You've assembled your entire crew. Once you've assembled all the crew, once you've played all the character modes and you've freed everybody from jail, then you can make a run at the big final heist. So we made that part of it easier. Assembling the crew is a little bit easier. It takes fewer shots to get into a character mode, and some of the character modes were made a little bit easier too, that were more difficult. And so that's basically it. Those are the main differences in it. And you get in there and it's playing one stage after another, right? But if you, in pinball, linear gameplay is usually a bummer. So what we do is it's more like a choose your own adventure. It's based on the order that you collected your characters when you collected them in the first place, is the order that the first three stages are put in. So every time you go to the big final heist, you may do it in a different character order, but you start learning. The other big thing is that the MacGuffins, which are the final hurry up shot. Once you've defeated the mode, you've got a chance to go for the MacGuffin, which is worth a lot of bonus points, and it's worth a lot of points in the game. But those MacGuffins are items that help that character stage in the wizard mode. And a lot of people have found, like, there's certain characters that they're like, oh yeah, you definitely want the MacGuffin for this character, right? So like in Hacker, if you get to their mode, it's a stage in the wizard mode that really benefits from having the MacGuffin. So you may have a situation where you've collected all your characters and the big final heist is ready, but Hacker doesn't have the MacGuffin yet. You may choose to go replay Hacker's mode to get the MacGuffin before you go in there. There's a whole lot of decision making and stuff like that you can do in this game to strategize your way through the final wizard mode. And before you go, I always say, you made it to the big final heist, and you've got a ball to spare. Drop a save state so you can come back to that at some point. If you don't make it, you can. I'm not going to think any less of you if you come back and later on, because you want to see the whole game, start at that save state and take a run at it again. But you get through and you play all the different character stages, and then you get to the big final 15 ball multiples towards the end of the game, and you've got to get through that. And it tells that wizard mode tells the entire story also narratively of the big final heist and what you've been. That's the third act of our heist movie, basically. So we use the cutscenes to set the whole thing up and show how you're pulling this heist off under Mr. Big's nose, and it's something that we're pretty proud of. Michael Ocean, one of our creative consultants, came up with kind of the some of the story elements there that were really nice. So I think it came out real well, and it's something we've been working on a long time. And there's a ton of animated assets in there, and ton of just work went into putting together what we think is like one of the most thematically integrated, deep rule set wizard modes that's ever been made. And we're extremely proud of it.
Ryan, you better get your stupid profile set up so that we can do some of these save states.
Yeah, I know. I need to get around to actually reading the manual, as Jerry loves to tell me when I ask.
So at the start of Heist, when you start, before you start a game, right? you can get into the wizard, the profile manager, by holding the flipper button up and pressing the start button. And that's where you can manage your profile and start a new one and set them up and everything. But when you start a game, at the very beginning of the game, before you launch the ball, if you look down in between the flippers, there's the button legend, and it actually tells you, like, hey, if you hold the flipper and you press start, you'll get some options like doing with getting into the profile system, or setting up team play, where you can have like your 3 kids playing against you, your one person, or doing or setting up save states and stuff like that. So it's there on the screen, like at the beginning of games too, but most of the time you're excited about starting the game and looking down the field and you're not looking at it. So next time you start the game, take a look down there. It'll once you get the hang of it, that's how you get into it, you never forget.
Oh, perfect. I guess I just needed to look at the screen a little bit more for. I'm like, all right, let's start a game.
Yeah,
but that's
and
awesome.
it happens to everybody. It's just you get into it and you start looking down the play field, and even though all the information is right there, sometimes it's hard. You gotta have an opportunity to really get people to focus on it, right? And that was just kind of like, if you want it, it's all there, right? Like if you want all the information while you're playing the game, it's right there underneath the flippers, all your score and everything else. So, but for me, the most important thing in a game is playing the story and finding out, like, experiencing all the moments in the game and stuff like that. So that's where I like the way we handle it on Heist. Is like, most people that play it don't ever get caught up on score or anything. They're just like, yeah, I want to go for this thing or that thing, and then at the end of it, they're like, oh wow, I got a great score, So
I totally agree with that. I do totally get captivated by the story and wanting to progress and see more of the game. The score's cool, but it's definitely isn't what you necessarily like focus on, at least unless you're in a competition, I guess. Then you probably would be.
And then it's boiled down to just whatever strategies are the biggest payoff, and hopefully we've created a pretty balanced game where there's not one thing that the game is reduced to,
right,
or anything. But
Parnell, I think it's about that time.
Yeah, this is not a 16-hour edit episode.
No, you might be able to get this finished and edited like tomorrow if you actually just hunker down and work on it. But with that, I guess, Stephen, thank you again for coming on the show. It was absolutely a blast and a pleasure to be able to talk to you and get a lot of like really amazing insight and information about Heist and Multimorphic as a whole. So thank you. And to all of our listeners, good day, good evening, good night, and goodbye.
Bye, Stephen. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you. I love the show. Did I lose you?
No, I was waiting for Ryan, but he's
No, sorry, that was my bad. I got distracted for a second there.